Hello and welcome to video lesson number 2, where I'm going to touch on the 3 key considerations you need to make when you're parasite cleansing. The first consideration is you need to make sure you're rotating your approaches. You don't want to be taking one herb, so you pick one anti-parasitic herbal product and use that for a long period of time. Parasites adapt. Parasites are very clever and sneaky, and what I say to my clients is, you're fighting for your health, parasites are fighting for their life. So what's going to be stronger? Their will to survive, or you trying to improve your health? So it needs to be a multi-pronged approach. It needs to include herb rotation, and it needs to include herbs that also bust open the biofilms. Biofilms are what parasites hide in. It's their protective little bubble. So if you're throwing herbs at them and they're within their biofilms, that's not going to do anything to them. And so it's that multi-pronged approach of busting open the biofilms and then intercepting them with the herbs and rotating the herbs to maintain that effectiveness, okay? And also having breaks, because you want to make sure you get parasites in all of their different life cycles. So what you would do is, when you are doing a parasite cleanse, you would do, say, 2 weeks on, you would take your herbs for 2 weeks, then you would allow 2 weeks off. And what happens in those 2 weeks is any eggs that have been laid start to hatch. And then you come along and you sweep up and you kill any of the parasites that have just hatched. Okay, so just making sure you get all of them. If you did, parasite cleanse for a length of time, after you stop, naturally there are going to be eggs. If you then don't come back and sweep up, you're going to go back to square one. And people get caught in a cycle of forever parasite cleansing, okay? Because they don't factor all of these different things in. So that's the first consideration. Consideration number 2, it needs to be a systemic approach. Many of the approaches and protocols are oral only. So you would take a herb, you would take a product, you would take a supplement, you would follow a certain diet. That's all oral. And 9 times out of 10, that's going to stay only in the gut. And so it's only going to target parasites in the gut. But if you have a chronic health issue or a chronic symptom, you're going to need to get parasites systemically, because, like I said, all disease starts in the gut, as I touched on in lesson number 1. And so what happens is, if you've had gut issues for a while, which you will if you've had a chronic health issue, you're going to get intestinal permeability, because a disbalance in the microbiome is going to mean more yeast, more fungus, more parasites, and they are going to breach through. Candida especially is tentacle shaped. Pierces hole in the gut wall, suddenly you've got a porous gut wall. All sorts of things can leak out, including parasites. And off they go around the body, migrating to all sorts of places and causing all sorts of problems and symptoms. So if you're only then treating the gut, you're not ever going to be able to get the parasites under control and heal long term, because you're not able to target them in all the other places that they then reached and migrated to. Okay, so it needs to be systemic. How you do that is a rectal approach. Rectally, the herbs or the suppositories that you're using is going to be absorbed into the bloodstream. And the bloodstream is then going to go around the entire body, okay? And that's how you're going to reach them in all the difficult to get places, including eyes, brains, etc. Final thing, you must always look at the terrain of the body. Touched on that in lesson number 1. They are there for a reason. They're there because the body has high toxicity and it's polluted. So you need to be incorporating detoxification practices at the same time. And that's going to open up the pathways to allow dead parasites to leave. Okay, so when we're looking at detox, we're looking at cleansing the colon, cleansing the kidneys, cleansing the liver, all areas that the parasites also will be in, or potentially be in, but they'll definitely be in the colon. So that's part of getting rid of the parasites, is flushing them out. It's also opening up the key pathways, and it's also changing the entire terrain of the body to an environment that parasites can't live in. Okay, those are the 3 main considerations for you to bear in mind next time that you're following a parasite cleanse.